Hey, I'm Russ.
And I'm Danny.
And this is the Memory Makers Podcast.
The show focused on helping you create amazing customer experiences and make more memories.
IAAPA, can you hear me? I am totally losing my voice. It is like we're getting ready to start day 3 of IAAPA.
I can't hear you. One more time.
IAAPA, can you hear me through the night?
So no one will be surprised by this, that Russ was in show choir when he was in high school.
Well, as you do.
Yeah, as one does.
As one does. Oh, man. It has been an incredible show. And IAAPA is always such a fabulous time because it's like a big family reunion where, you know, you're getting to see all these people that you love and you're having those brief exchanges. There's that weird uncle that drinks too much that you're running away from around the corner because you don't want to get into an awkward conversation.
You know who you are.
But it is just a fantastic time because it gives you such a great opportunity to come and see so many things that you've been looking at or exploring and getting a real world feel to it to a certain extent. But it can also be super overwhelming to try to, you know, wrangle that bull by the horns and actually come away with some tactical takeaways for sure.
And that's really what we want to hit on this episode. This is going to be a special episode from the floor of IAAPA. We're going to be opening the show floor in, I don't know, it's like 30 minutes from now. And we want to come with a very brief episode of talking about, okay, IAAPA's done. Maybe this was your first one. Maybe this was your 25th one, depending on how long you've been in this industry. Yeah. The question is, now what? Now, what do you do afterwards?
And that, just like with anything that we talked about in previous episodes, is you have to make sure that you're prioritizing what are going to be the biggest needle movers for us that are going to have the most impact right away. And then what are some of the tier 2 options that, hey, this is important, we need to focus on it, but it's going to take, you know, a little bit of time for us to get our ducks in a row. And so what I typically like to look at is, okay, if we know that we're trying to improve guest services, are we talking with, you know, the folks that are going over staff training? Are we looking for, you know, a new software or a new tool? Are we looking for a new attraction? Still having those metrics that are going to say, hey, who is this for? What is it going to accomplish for us? And looking at that and talking with your teams about it, so that way you can all make sure that you're rowing in the same direction with it. And then I think once you have that prioritization list, we know that when you come back from IAAPA, it's the week of Thanksgiving. It's so easy to get bogged down in the holiday traffic that's picking up. We're making sure that our Christmas parties are getting booked up and that December's looking solid and all of that. But you don't want to get lost in the mix because everybody's running in different directions and all of that. So the biggest thing is, okay, if we have that priority list and we know that this is what we want to focus on first, in my experience, it then is, okay, now we have to do the kind of, it's great to get the high level information from that company and understand what they're doing and what the brochure information is. But now I want to start talking to the client references that they have and really start to see, hey, how is this living in the wild for you? How do these people show up for you when you need them? Because when you're going to go down that path of a relationship with a new partner or a new vendor, you want to make sure that they are actually able to meet those needs because it's, you know, it is a trade show and everybody's, you know, on and peopling and doing all of that stuff. But now I want to see how the rubber hits the road in the wild, so to speak. And then from there, once you're getting a little bit of that feedback and saying, okay, yep, this is still tracking. What are any red flags, any spidey sense stuff that we want to get after? And okay, great. Now we can start honing in. We can start beating people up on price. We can start looking at availability and supply chain issues, which seem to hopefully be getting a little bit better post-COVID. Knock on wood.
This isn't wood, but we're just going to do it.
Yeah, we'll do that one. But that's really the part of like, okay, now we get to see the proof in the pudding aspect for sure.
The other thing that you can do is, I know many of you, we see a lot of the pen collectors. This is your chance to really organize them, your pens for the next year that you're going to have in your office that you collected from every vendor on the show floor.
100%.
We definitely have the pen people who are like, I want one of these, I want one of these. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Go for it. It's fun.
Go. And really then, I think that the next part is as you're talking with those other operators and you're getting a good sense of what they're doing, then it's making sure that we're looking then internally of, okay, who's going to be the point person on this, right? Who's going to be the champion of this new venture? Because it may be you, it may be somebody on your staff, but we want to make sure that we are road mapping our game plan so that way it's not, we're not losing RPMs, we're not losing traction on it. So setting those SMART goals of making it specific and measurable, realistic, trackable, and achievable, like all of that is there. So you really then need to start putting in the mission control control of, okay, we're going to lay out these timelines. This is how we want to start to do that, all of that good stuff, so we can actually start to implement it, because again, it's that busy time. It's going to, I mean, Christmas is going to be here before you know it. New Year's is going to be here before you know it. We'll take a quick breath and then it's already going to be spring break, right? I mean, the time is going to fly.
Yeah.
So.
And when we get back into the day-to-day of the business and priorities and life and all the things that happen, it's very easy for that time to kind of creep. And then all of a sudden we're at Amusement Expo and Bowl Expo, and then we're getting ready for IAAPA again. And if we're not intentional about the things that are most important that we want to implement now, it can kind of just be put off and put off and put off. And then we go, oh, shoot, we're back a year later and it hasn't been done as quickly as we wanted. So it's important to have that aspect of it.
For sure. And it's not just about the shiny new thing or the new attraction that we're excited about. IAAPA is also so fantastic, like we talked about, because there's so many people that you're going to get to connect with and learn from. You're going to meet new folks that you really like what they're about, and they're doing something that's really cool, and you want to learn more from them. And so you really need to make sure that you're leaning into the relationship side of the non-vendor and non-partners, but your fellow operators as well.
Exactly, because there's, whether it's on the show floor or in some of the educational sessions or some of the networking opportunities or parties in the evenings, there's so many opportunities to meet people that are your peers. Maybe they're a little bit ahead of you if you're a new startup and looking to open your first, or maybe that you've been operating for a while but someone's been operating a little bit longer and they've got more experience, or maybe you've been operating for a while and there's some new people that you want to be able to help as they kind of come into the industry. And that's one of the things I love so much about it, is that everyone is willing to help each other and everyone's willing to share. And so this is a great opportunity. You've got these people that you've met, and what can happen pretty easily is that you get home from the show, you got all this other stuff, and maybe you connect on LinkedIn and then you just sort of leave it, and then you see them 6 months later or a year later at a show again and you go, hey, you remember me? But what I think is really helpful is making intentional time to connect with those people beyond a LinkedIn connection or a Facebook friend or anything like that, and set up some time to get on a call. Go visit their site. That is such an important thing.
I was just thinking that same thing of, it's like, oh, we should get together, right? And it's like, okay, well, you've always got those friends. It's like, oh yeah, we should totally get together. That'll be great, blah, blah, blah.
Let's get lunch sometime.
Nothing ever happens, right? It's like, when you are here at the show and there are some folks that you have met, it is like, send them a text and say, hey, I really appreciated getting to know you at the show. Excited to hear what you guys have going on. I want to see how I can be of service to you. I'd love to set up a time for me to actually come out and see what you guys have going on, so that way we can keep this good thing going. When's a good time?
Yeah.
And actually make that ask or that intelligent reach out, and not just the, oh yeah, that'd be great, whatever, and then never again until next year.
I've got a really good pro tip for you. If you meet somebody that gives you a good piece of advice or a recommendation on a book to read or something like that, right? Is, let's just use the example of a book. Someone recommends a specific book because you're chatting about business or whatever it is. Go read that book, then reconnect with the person and say, hey, thanks for the recommendation. I read it, and here are the 3 things I learned and what I'm implementing in my business.
Absolutely.
Nobody does that. And the fact that you went out of your way to say, I recognize the advice that you gave me, I followed it, and here's what I'm doing with it, it shows you're able to connect with them on a much deeper level, because they go, oh, wow, you actually did all that stuff. We need to talk again, because you are someone who gets after it.
I literally had that happen. I was over at the Monster Mini Golf Convention a few weeks before this show, had one of their folks come in. We were talking about Paul Akers' 2-second lean, and he was coming up to me at the show. He said, hey, I read that book. I am all about it. I want to start rolling these things in. And so then right there in the show, I'm like, okay, let's pull up our calendars. Let's find a time. We're going to deep dive it a little bit more and do some of that stuff. So it's like knowledge sharing is caring, gang, right? Like, that is what our industry is all about. And it is just making sure that you take that one extra step instead of keeping it at that transactional exchange kind of a thing. Like, it's always good, give good advice away for free, all of that kind of good stuff. But it's always when you're reaching out and saying, hey, what can I do for you? And leading with that open hand first is just always a great thing to do, for sure. One other really good piece of advice, we were talking with Armando on the drive into the show today, and he and Kim are getting ready to do that generosity talk at the luncheon. And we were talking, sports ball, and CJ Stroud was doing a press conference, the Texans QB, and he was talking about this idea of how pressure is a privilege. And I think that is such a great mindset to go into this busy season of the holidays. We know that things are going to be hectic. We know things that are going to be just crazy, and it's going to feel like we're back in the tsunami of life and just trying to ride that wave. But remembering that how blessed we are to get to do what we do and have this positive impact. And that's one of the things that I love about IAAPA as well, is it's just such a good reminder of the good people that are here and what that higher purpose is that we're trying to do, of creating those opportunities for people to celebrate and escape. And you can always learn from the other people that are around us, for sure.
I have nothing to add. I think that's a great spot for us to wrap that up. Mic drop. Well, I'm not going to drop this mic because that's
attached to the
Mikey Mike on the ones and twos would be really mad about that if I drop this mic.
You don't want to break the ultra web.
No, I don't want to break the ultra web. We typically have a little back and forth of how we close this out. We don't have our notes in front of us, so we're just going to kind of wing this closing.
The big thing is just if you have ideas that you want to make sure that we're diving deeper into, please hit us up. We always want to make sure that we're coming up with the most relevant things that are in your guys' short list of what you want to be hearing about. Check out the podcast. Please give us the reviews. We always appreciate those 5 stars. Being able to hear so many of you coming up to us at the show and listening to the podcast, I thought it was just my mom. So I was super excited that this is actually serving and pouring into it. Danny and I have a great time doing this with you guys, and just genuinely appreciate you guys giving us your time, because it is precious. So with that, continue to crush IAAPA and make those prioritization plans, and don't do the 1-step follow-up, do the 2-step follow-up, ask those extra questions, and just turn over those rocks, baby. So that is all from us on the Memory Makers podcast. Be sure to check us out on the next one, Troublemakers. Do you want to build a snowman?
Go fly it.
All right.
Go fly.
Go fly it.
Go fly.
Go fly it.
I'm just stealing your line.
I know. I love it. I'm down. All right. You ready, Mike? All right.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Russ.